Manchester, they need to rebuild everything because it's still one of the best clubs in the world, but they need to change. They don't depend only of the talents. It's more than that. It's all club, not only players, club, everything as a united. They have to rebuild from the bottom. If not, they cannot compete. This club needs time to rebuild.
Let's face it, Cristiano Ronaldo is 100% right. And even though it's been 11 years since Manchester United last won a Premier League title, and over a decade now that we've been in our rebuilding phase, it seems like now, only after INEOS, and more specifically Sir Jim Ratcliffe have come in, real change has finally begun. And despite it seeming like Ronaldo was disrespecting Manchester United at the time, the interview that he did with Piers Morgan may have been the best thing to happen to United in recent years, simply for the fact that it was a huge catalyst in the Glazers putting the club up for sale. And no matter how you might feel about the way Cristiano Ronaldo left after his second stint at Manchester United, he clearly wished, like us all, that there would have been a fairy tale ending to his story.
I'm not happy the way the old happened, but in the same way, we cannot control some points of our life sometimes. But it's done, already done, and I repeat, I still love Manchester United and I wish them the best.
And he seems to genuinely mean it, because after being asked if he thinks he was proven right after his Piers Morgan interview almost 2 years prior, he replied with this.
To prove that I'm right or wrong, this is not my issues anymore. I say what I have to say, and to be honest with you, what I wish for Manchester, it's what I wish for me. The best they can make, again, the best team they can, and I love that club. I'm not that kind of guy that forgot the past.
And one thing he certainly hasn't forgot is the way that his relationship with Erik Ten Hag ended, with Ronaldo having a go at the Dutch manager, implying that he doesn't have the winning mentality to be at Manchester United.
The coach, they say they cannot compete to win the league and Champions League. If you are a Manchester United coach, you cannot say that you're not gonna fight to win the league or Champions League. You have to mentally say, listen, maybe we don't have that potential, but I cannot say that.
We're gonna try.
You're gonna try. You have to try.
And whilst I understand that Ronaldo has one of the best winning mentalities in football, hence why he's won as many trophies as he has, I don't think that Ten Hag would be deluded enough to come out in his next press conference and claim that Manchester United are favourites to win the Premier League title this year, because we aren't. Simply put, Manchester United are in a process and fans have to be realistic with what's expected. After all, we have won 2 trophies in 2 seasons under Ten Hag, which is a good start. And yes, whilst you can say it's only a Carabao and FA Cup, and that you'd love for United to win much more prestigious trophies, before Erik Ten Hag came in, we hadn't won a trophy since 2017. And I think that starting off by winning some of the smaller trophies can instill that winning mentality and create a positive attitude within the squad. And don't get me wrong, it's absolutely very frustrating hearing Erik say things like this.
I think we won after City the most trophies in English football, so I'm sorry for you.
Especially when this came right after that awful result and performance against Liverpool at Old Trafford. But as much as I hate to say it, he's technically still right, and in my eyes, the Carabao and FA Cup are a good stepping stone. And despite Ronaldo's lack of backing for Erik Ten Hag, he still does believe he can be successful if he takes some advice.
Do you think Ruud, obviously we know Ruud, he's gone back there now.
I think it will help a lot.
Yeah? In which way? What do you mean?
If Ten Hag listen Ruud, maybe he can... I think he can help a lot because he knows the club, and the club should listen to the guys who was there. You or Roy Keane or Paul Scholes or Gary Neville, whatever.
Now, whilst I agree with Ronaldo that Ruud van Nistelrooy can and will help Erik Ten Hag at Manchester United, seeing as he won 2 trophies at PSV Eindhoven with an overall win percentage of 64.7, I don't agree that taking advice from the likes of Roy Keane, Scholesy or Gary Neville is necessarily a great idea. Despite how much I respect them all for what they've done for the club, and especially Gary Neville speaking up against the Glazers many times over the years, it's not as simple as hiring ex-Manchester United legends and then magically being back to prime Manchester United. I mean, we've tried that with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and it didn't go too well. It's clear from many examples that being an exceptional footballer doesn't always translate to being a good football manager or coach. But even if Ronaldo didn't specifically say to hire them, he did go on to say,
you cannot rebuild a club without knowledge. Not guys who work in office. I understand a lot of football because I see football in the television every day and I understand. No, this is not, doesn't work like that. The people who understand the football, 99% is the people who was there in the dressing room. Who was the most successful coaches in the world? Guardiola, Ferguson. There was player before. They understand. They know how to deal with the players. So I believe that Ruud gonna help because he was inside the club. He knows the club. He knows the fans. If the coach listen to him, I think they can improve a little bit the club.
And whilst I agree with his sentiment, Erik Ten Hag was a professional footballer, albeit not at the highest level, but he still was one nonetheless. He still knows what it's like to be in the dressing room. And whilst you can argue that he wasn't in dressing rooms with winners that were competing for the highest honours, and especially not in prime Manchester United's dressing room, neither was Klopp. And in fact, Klopp played at an even lower standard than Erik Ten Hag, and we all know how great of a manager he is. Now, on the other hand, whilst I'm still behind Ten Hag, I do still have some valid criticisms of him that have persisted for many games now. From starting his favourite players and refusing to give others that deserve it a chance, to not fixing his tactics that leave us with a massive gap in midfield game after game, and some of his deluded comments that he says in post-match interviews. Erik Ten Hag is by no means perfect. However, I do think he's quite a likeable guy who's somewhat changed the culture at Manchester United in his tenure so far. And if he can iron some of these problems out, I do believe that he can go on to do great things at the club, especially now that we're being run by a competent ownership such as INEOS, which Ronaldo seems to be a fan of.
It's still one of the best clubs in the world, but they need to change. They understand that, and this is why you show that they start to change again, the structure of the club, the president, the infrastructures and everything, the owners of the club.
Yeah, they're investing in their training
They
ground, like you
invest
said.
in training. So I'm happy.
And it's not hard to see why, as one of Ronaldo's criticisms of the Glazers was their lack of investing in the Carrington training complex.
In United, the progress was zero. Technology, especially the terms of training, nutrition, and conditions of eat properly and to recover better than before, surprised me.
It was little things like even the swimming pool that the players use, the saunas, all these facilities. Nothing had changed since you'd left in 2009.
Nothing changed. Surprisingly, not only the pool, the jacuzzi, even the gym, even the kitchen, the chefs, which is I appreciate, lovely persons. They stop in a time which it surprised me a lot. I thought I will see different things, different technology, infrastructure, but unfortunately, we see many things that I'm used to see when I was 20, 21, 23. So surprised me a lot.
And it seems like the new owners have already made a huge impact within the squad, with Diogo Dalot and Ruud van Nistelrooy feeling like the rebuild has already kicked into full gear.
I feel like a new team, to be completely honest, comparing to last year. And I think we are starting now to see the direction that we want to go. When we met the new ownership, they came really in to change things. And I think the club needed that, especially for the fans. I think it gave a little bit of extra energy, in my opinion.
Sort of a new start with ownership and leadership, and a phase where you start to rebuild.
Be a part of it.
Be a part of it.
And although I might not agree with everything that Ronaldo said in the interview with Rio, or even with everything he did during his second stint at Manchester United, there's no denying that even at 37 years old, he still had a great impact on the team.
When I'm back there, I was very happy. I was one of the best scorers. I did unbelievable. My first season with 37, I was the third best scorer of the league. The group stage, I scored every game. I did amazing.
And there's absolutely no denying that. In my eyes, Ronaldo will always be a legend at Manchester United, even if things didn't go exactly how we thought they would when we signed him back in 2021. The fact that we had that fairy tale homecoming game at Old Trafford versus Newcastle, all of the goals that he scored for us in one of our worst seasons in recent history at his age, and of course the impact that he's made on the club with forcing the Glazers to sell, makes his last dance at Manchester United all worth it to me. If you enjoyed the video, please press the like button as it helps out a lot, and subscribe if you're new. Also check this video out, you might find it interesting.